Welcome back to Analogue, a Hate Story. Today, we should be wrapping up what happened to the Magungwa here with the final logs of Block 7. The Nightmarish Bride. First from Hayun. It seems that in the year I spent visiting my parents, everything has gone to hell in my husband's family without his knowing. Clearly, I never should have left. He has an idea, but he doesn't understand just how bad things have gotten. When I left, it all seemed under control. The pale bride would be of the right age to be married to the emperor soon enough, and we would be able to use that connection to bring favor to the family. A good plan, except it turns out the pale bride is not even close to ready for marriage. Age has nothing to do with it. It's the maturity that she lacks. When she first awoke, right before I left, she seemed a little confused, but that was hardly unexpected. She had a whole new family to get accustomed to, and it seemed obvious enough that anyone born so far in the past would have some difficulty adjusting to modern life. But this is far beyond that. There is something simply wrong with that child. When I got back, the first thing young Suk's wife did was tell me all about how sorry she was for not being able to control the child. I rolled my eyes, as if a grown woman couldn't handle someone of her age. "How are you going to raise my grandson like that?" I asked. She was quiet, and let me see the pale bride for myself. The first time I saw young Suk try to get her to do something as simple as sort out his laundry, she wasn't just disobedient. She was openly defiant. When I stepped in to admonish her, it had absolutely no effect. All she did was argue back at me. I tried every approach I could think of, appealing to filiality, explaining how important a virtue obedience was, even trying to appeal to sentimentality, everything. She just kept saying the same thing, that it wasn't fair to make her do it. Here's the obvious concern, and it's what I said to her. "Are you going to tell your husband he's not being fair when he wants something from you?" I thought that would put some sense into her, but no, she just answered, "Yes." There's no way this unruly child could possibly be marriageable, not like this. She'd be sent back within a day, and with good reason. What man could possibly want a nightmare like her in his life? So this is going back in time, back when she wasn't a mute, talking about her family and how they tried to control her. Mother. Huh. I don't really know what to say about her, even now. This is the first time I've read what she wrote, and it's just... Well, there's more. Here, read them for yourself. Okay, what I may have said at the beginning of this episode, this being the final words of this game, may be incorrect. I think if we end up filling the whole block, we'll do half this episode, half the other. And let's see what an older entry from Hayun has to say about her mother. That last entry was her, so you understand the type of person she is and who she wants all her little children, adopted included, to be. "Dear Diary, the good news is, health-wise, I seem to be doing much better this month. I'm sure this isn't a pregnant thing, a pregnant thing. You know, I've gotten so used to seeing pregnancy in this game, I just went and saw that word and jumped on it. Permanent thing. It's happened before. I can't really remember how the doctor from the past explained it anymore, but he said it was pretty normal, and not something to get my hopes up about. Still, some days this month, I actually had enough energy to want to move around. Not that I could move around, of course. I can't leave the house. A good girl shouldn't, is what everyone keeps saying. But I have the energy to, at least, and that's something. The big news is that the woman who's supposed to be my adopted mother came back. I didn't really see her much before she left. I might as well have been meeting a new person. I wish I could say I had high hopes for her, that I had thought that maybe she'd be okay. That'd be a lie, though. I knew she'd be as bad as the rest that the moment I saw her. And she was. Of course she was. She's even worse than the sister-in-law. She gives these awful lectures. I can't even describe them. They're that horrible. She's that horrible. Okay, so is it only lectures that caused Hayun to break? Pushed her over the edge? You have to keep in mind, she's fighting death here. She came to this futuristic time thinking there'd be a cure, hoping that the doctors would say there's more than just wood in her colon or spleen. But now she was subjected to this complete backward society, to what she had already been living in. Independent woman. From the mother. Hayun. If you're so worried, why don't you just explain everything to her, simply and rationally? Jung-soo asked me. My response was obvious. She's a woman. We're not particularly rational. He said, you know what I mean. I could hardly do it. But coming from a woman, perhaps she will understand that it's all for her own good. Maybe I said, doubting it. But I tried anyway. She took her time arriving after I summoned her to my room. Can we speak? I asked her, trying to keep my voice calm. She glared, then snapped, fine. I asked her to sit down, but she refused. Look, I said, trying to speak to her as an equal. I still didn't think my husband was right, but it was worth trying. I've been told you'd rather be called Hayun? Is that right? She said. Yes, bitterly, not giving me much to go off. That's a very pretty name, I said. Thanks, she said, but her voice was still unfriendly. My parents gave it to me, I said. Oh, my parents gave it to me, and I said, you must miss them very much. She nodded. I don't understand. Hayun, were you so difficult for them too? No, she said. They were nice. They actually cared about me. They're nothing like you people. I sighed. I care about you, Hayun. You're a part of the family. You're a Kim. Your parents are our ancestors, and I know they'd think it's very important that we raise you right. If you want to be a bad, unfilial daughter and treat us without any respect, well, you wouldn't be the first. Do you really think an old woman like me really cares that much about your opinion of me? I thought maybe I'd try appealing to her selfishness. Her marriage is important to the family, but clearly she doesn't care about filiality. Just a note here, first time I ever heard that word. Learn something every day. Well, I'm saying first time I read this game. It's you I'm worried about. Do you think any husband is really going to put up with the way you are, even for a second? She kept glaring at me. That's all you keep talking about. Marriage, marriage, marriage. I'm 14. I'm 14 years old. What's wrong with you? Why does everything have to be about some man? Why do I have to marry somebody that you picked? She screamed at me. Somebody that you picked? Oh, sorry. I remained calm. You're going to be a royal concubine, Hayun. Wow, nice way of putting it. We're not dumping you off on just anyone. There's no better man. I don't know if you were already engaged in the past, but your parents would do the same, if they could. It's what's best for you. They would want this. No, they wouldn't, she shrieked. They wanted me to grow up. They wanted me to be an independent woman. That's what Mom and Dad thought was important. I don't want to be a concubine. I don't care about marriage. An independent woman? They wanted you to be a whore? I asked, my patience run as thin as anyone would be. I didn't believe for a second my husband's ancestors were the monsters she was making them to be, and was sick of this. Get out, I snapped at her. Just get out. How dare you be independent and all on your own and shit. Are you just showing me that because you want to see more from her? Oh, well, in that case, there's nothing I can do. She didn't really write about me that much. There's nothing else of hers in here that's really relevant. You've seen it all. Sorry. That's alright, she's quite a cunt anyway. So, let's see, where does that bring us in the logs? The new anxiety, and then we'll end it. From Young Seok's wife. My mother-in-law has relieved, wow, excellent English. Relieved me of any responsibility for looking after the pale bride. As a matter of pride, I feel bad that a simple child is too much for me to handle, but I'm certainly glad she's not my problem anymore. Now I can put my undivided attention back where it belongs, onto my husband and his ambitions. Tell me, though, Mother, because I know we didn't always get along that well, I was never that bad, was I? Sure, we were both happy when I moved out. Well, perhaps I wasn't happy right away. I was more scared, but I'm sure you were relieved to have some space. But you would have never given up on me, right? I was never that bad, was I? Deep down, I worry. My husband seems content to take his time to have children, and which is a decision I can certainly live with. But what about when we do? What if we have a daughter? Will I fail with her too? I've been telling myself that it's not me, it's her. She's a peculiarly unruly child, and it's not ordinarily that bad. It's not, right? Please tell me I have nothing to worry about. Please. Wow. Yeah, please tell me that the children I raise won't have these weird social norms and mores and try to backlash at me with freedom. Please tell me this won't happen. You know, I never did like her. When I woke up, she was just this awful, awful person who kept saying the most awful things. Never as bad as Mother, but still. I didn't read any of her letters when I was alive, of course, but you know what really surprised me? She made such an awful impression on my life. I hated her the most for so long, and she barely even mentioned me. All my suffering, it was just a minor distraction to her, nothing more, insignificant compared to her man. There's one more from her that you should read. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know how to feel about her. There's just one thing that I keep thinking, though. Just one thing. I have no idea what her name was. Wow. That's pretty crazy to let someone make you go absolutely insane with their control over your life and what they said to you to demean you, yet you didn't even have the title of that person. They were just some bystander and they barely thought about you, but it got to Hayun. Clearly it did. So in the next episode, I do believe that we will see the final logs. This time I'm thinking it's the final. I really don't see how much more story there is to go that we could be pushing in these episodes, but we'll see. I will see you all next episode.